this session, right? You've not been forced into coming here.
No.
It's not a mandatory class.
No. In that case, you would have double the crowd of this.
Double the
It's
crowd.
a mandatory part.
Okay, cool. This is not bad. I got a teleprompter kind of a thing here. Not bad. Okay. So my name is Amit Relin. I run an organization called Root Factor. Do you mind if I use the slide changer? You can settle. If there's a slide changer, just forget me. There is, right? Yeah, perfect. Settle. Chill.
So if you don't mind, you would like to give the introduction of yours.
Please do.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all here on this insightful event. This event has been organized with by the joint effort of Think India HRC and Bammc committee. It's a great honor to have one of the most eminent leaders from the event management industry, Mr. Amit Relin from Root Factor Events Private Limited. Mr. Amit is known for his leadership skills. He has been instrumental in building Root Factor from the ground up in a very competitive industry. So as we all know, the event management industry is one of the most competitive in the country. So his inspiring leadership coupled with a can-do attitude has helped his team overcome multiple challenges through determination, innovation, and hard work. Seminar has been possible due to initiative by Think India HRC as well as Bammc committee. Think India HRC is a chapter of the nationwide Think India, which has chapters in various prime institutes such as IIT, IIM, and NLU. The student body aims to foster India-centric thoughts and ideology on campus, and we try to hold as many seminars, lectures, and certificate courses as possible. The BMMC committee is a committee solely comprising of BMM students from our institute. They also hold lectures, seminars, and guest lectures, and they have a legacy of leading in our college. The BMM committee is known to always push the leaders from our college to enter industry. So I request Sir to start.
Thank you. Thank you for those kind words. And we did mention competitive industry, right? It was pretty competitive 13 odd years back when I started Root Factor. And it's very important that whom you're listening to, you should know a little bit of gist, right? Kitno ne Google kiya tha na? And by the way, are you comfortable with Hindi, English?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely okay. There was a nice few words you put together. You're a good orator. You should follow that, right? The one part is that I'm going to keep this very, very casual. Okay, I don't want to be treated like a sir, uncle mat kaho yaar, wo wala hisab hai. Right, so we'll try and keep it casual. Ask as many questions. If you feel like taking and digging into your phone, please do. If you feel like taking a nap, please do. That's my failure. That's not what you're supposed to do, right? Whenever I host events, I have a stand-up comedian saying nobody's allowed to see their phone. The bar is not supposed to be open. It basically tells me he's not confident on his content, right? But we have to follow the norms, right? So today you're free to do what you want, but let's keep it interactive. At any point of time you think I'm bullshitting, I'll come to know through your expressions in that way, right? So let me give you a little bit quick backdrop. How many of you Googled Amit Relin or Root Factor? 1, 2, okay, not bad, good bad. Okay. So we started this company about 13 years back. It was me and a lady called Smita Jadhav. And I'm an IT background guy. I used to sell technology to airlines, okay? And about good 11 odd years of work in technology, when I decided that I wanted to do something for my own. And something for my own came naturally to me, that was entertaining people, right? So that little, itch that I had of hosting people at home, making it games night, I wanted to translate that to that being my life. And so what I work today is absolutely what I love doing as a youngster as well, right? So I discovered my passion very early in that sense. 28 is when I started the company, and I stand in front of you today leading about 45 odd employees. We are, if you look at the Vistrafs of the world or the Percepts of the world, they have great properties like IFAs and film fairs and Sunburn to kind of write home about. Root Factor doesn't have any of that because our focus is not the B2C market, which they call business to consumer market. My focus is the business to business market. So within the corporate arena, if you go and talk to any bank, they will know us. So we found a niche. We tried to find a niche within the segment that appealed to me, that I understood, And that's where Wood Factor Day stands, right? So within our service line, we do a lot of things. Events का मतलब भी बहुत सारी चीजें होता है, right? So we do a lot of things, but everything we do is centric to corporates, is centric to businesses trying to make that extra buck, right? When you spend money, you spend it to achieve something. When you spend money on a movie ticket, right? You come on. When you spend money on a movie ticket, आपको अच्छी entertainment चाहिए. Then you go and you bash the movie if it's not good, right? When you spend money at a restaurant, you need good food, right? You expect good service. Every dime that you let out of your pocket is meant to give something back to you, right? Now imagine you having a partner, and Wood Factor is a partner to the banking fraternity and the real estate fraternity. We look at two industries. Okay, why those two industries? That's a discussion for later. मेरे मन को भाया मैंने वो किया. That's it. It's basically that, and those are two industries I think that India's future depends upon, right? So we built our business around that. But within that, we don't say no to a client for anything. He needs a virtual product. What you're doing right now, you're streaming an event. There are people seeing it online somewhere. We have something called View, which is a product where we do virtual events. And thanks to that, we survived the pandemic, right? We do something called Luxperiential, which is only targeting the HNI audience of that brand. It doesn't go to, everybody has heard of the pyramid, right? Then they say money lies at the bottom of the pyramid. All bullshit. Money is at the top of the pyramid. The guy who has the maximum money will spend the most, right? That's one way of looking at it. Of course, when I meet different clients, I say different things. I'm a sales guy at the end of the day. So we do a lot of different events. We do BTL, we do MICE. How many of you know what MICE events are? How many of you know what MICE events are? No. Okay. We'll get to that as we go along. Now, what are the kind of clients that I service? And these are brands that you will know. I'm hoping you will know.
Yes.
Right? Very important. In small font there, very smartly, I've sneaked in relationship since. And I'll come to that as the session grows along, right? But the one thing that we kind of believe is that we want to have long-term relations, only then can we sustain over a period of time. How many clients do we have? We have about 25 clients. 13 years, 25 clients sounds very bad. But you know what? Those 25 clients, out of them, almost 15 or 18 of them are a decade-old relationship. And that is important for you to imbibe at this point of time. Now, how did we get there? We'll get to it, right? And that's what is building blocks in the event industry. How many of you actually understand the event industry or want to get into it? Let's ask that question, right? You understand the industry. You wish to get into it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? You do. Fantastic. Okay. If I'm not going to be judgmental here, but mujhe bata, for you, what is events?
But I want to get into it.
You want to get into it. Current understanding is?
Like,
क्या देखा जो तुझे इवेंट में जाना था?
I like hospitality, hotel business, basically.
Okay. And for you?
Okay, so I like organizing things. Like you said, you like to host things, and I've been in that zone since my school life.
Nice.
Since 7th, 8th standard, I'll be like doing all the events and everything. So I like organizing things. It gives me a different kind of rush, basically.
Beautiful.
So I'm in my college days also. I'm doing different fests and everything. So events are it can be of various types, like you said, corporate and fest, and there are different events, expos, virtual, everything. So yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So then I want to know randomly, why did the others choose the seminar? Why did you choose the seminar? What do you want to take out of this?
Honestly, I don't have like much prior knowledge about events, but I have been in the OC for a few now.
Okay.
So seeing how those fests were organized, I really was intrigued, and like if I can learn something on a bigger scale. then
Okay,
why not?
perfect. Somebody from this side. Tell me, why did you choose the seminar? You seem scared. I want to hear from you. Yeah, then Muzak.
My reason is also very similar. I wanted to fest and wanted to be a part of it, part of the planning thing.
Okay. The reason I'm asking these questions, guys, is because I don't want to go out here without giving something back to you. Right? You've given me your time, you've given me your trust that you can hear somebody. So I need to give you something that you can take back. So I want to make my conversation as generic. My conversation and my learnings, though relevant to the event industry, is actually live gyan. Okay? So look at it from that perspective. That's how we'll start. Now, let's get into the session. That was a little bit about me, what I have done and all of that, good things in life. Let's get into the session. There are 4 parts to my entire conversation that I'm going to have with you today, right? Part 1 is getting the facts right. Let's understand the industry. Let's understand what it means or what it does to India in general and overall, right? Second is then making a choice. Do I want to do this? Don't I want to do this? And we'll get into it in detail. Third is now I've got into the industry, right? Whether be it events, whether be it digital, whether be it social media, whether be it weddings, whether be it whatever, right? Exhibitions. What are the few things that you should take as your first steps that will ensure that you are on the right path? The few tick marks that you need to look at, okay? And fourth is, now that you've learned the basics, you've kind of done step 1, 2, 3. It's now time for you to take a leap. What are the big mantras of success there? Generic, bird's eye view, right? We all understand what bird's eye view is? Oh, okay. If you don't, please stop me. Okay? So let's get into it. Point 1, let's get the facts right. Now, when I do this, it's supposed to change the slide. Yeah, right.
Perfect.
Right. So fact check. Number 1, when we said events, covered you. What is events to you? Give me one example of an event for you.
For me, event is like organizing marriages.
Marriages. Okay. Event for you.
Event could be anything like what's happening while you organize something. It could be event for world trade, or it could be for anything.
Okay. Little vague, but we'll get there. Okay. Event for you, my friend.
Organizing things.
That's okay. What is an event? Give me an example of an event. तू उस event पे गया है?
Fest, concerts.
Fest, concert. Okay. Event for you. Yeah. Pink shirt. Salmon shirt. Whatever. Yeah.
Concerts, I guess. Music concert.
Music concerts. You?
Exhibitions.
Exhibitions. Fair. Now that's the beauty. It is the most royally abused term. Okay. And when I started back in 2009, there was an event company probably every 500 meters in Mumbai. That was the competition that I got into. So when you say I'm an event company, so हाँ जी क्या करते हो? So let me tell you, an event company is also the one जो sound देती है. An event company is also the one जो light लगाती है. Events पे, हाँ? An event company is also the one who just provides manpower, promoters. They say we are an event company. We cover pan-India, end-to-end solution. Fantastic terminology. That was the industry I got into. But events as such, nobody is wrong because it's a generic term. So the who's who of the event industry then coined another new term because they wanted to be different. And they started calling it experiential. So now the term is we are an experiential agency, right? And that's what, within that demeanor, you need to understand when you say you want to get into events, which part of it? Like there could be somebody who's fantastic at computers, right? And he might just want to get into the graphic designing part, right? Because he wants to tell a story every day. Now imagine you're a graphic designer, you work for an architecture firm or a real estate company. Daily वही building के graphic, daily वही customer को target कर रहे हो, वही creative उतार रहे हो. यही graphic designer को उठा के event company में डाल. Every day there is a new client. There's a new wedding. The color palette is different. The treatment is different. And he's doing the same job, but for different outputs. He loves it. Because that's what you want to do. How many of you want to keep doing the same thing over and over again? Right? Unless you're a doctor, you should do that. Right? But none of you are getting there for sure. Right? So that's the point. You understand events and you understand what all it covers. That's the first basics of you choosing any industry. So if tomorrow you're saying, I want to join an XYZ industry, like what do you aspire to?
I aspire to be a finance manager.
A finance manager. Okay, fantastic. So you need to understand the entire financial fraternity in that sense. With you?
With me, I basically want to join a maybe digital marketing agency where
Digital marketing agency, right? The in thing right now, right? So now, why is the industry, prospering? What is it that people are actually getting attracted to digital? What will be the trend that will carry forward? As much as you're reading books, you need to understand the industry in general that intrigues you. होता क्या है हम अपने आजू बाजू के डेमोग्राफिक से काफी इन्फ्लुएंस हो जाते हैं. You'll have somebody in your friend circle, family, somewhere that you're seeing who's doing well in that industry. And that becomes kind of saying, yeah, I want to do this. But the important part is, why do you want to do it? Does it have a sustainable future? Does it have a long-term kind of a platform associated with it? Understand the industry that you're choosing. That's all I'm trying to say, right? Events in general, nobody even would think, me providing manpower is events, but it is. Right? And he is a supplier to me, and today he does quite well. So you need to understand where you want to fit in. That's step one. Step two, you understood the industry. You know yourself. Right? You can Google about the industry. You can Google about, the trends and statistics and all of those beautiful things. One thing you can't Google is yourself. Right? And that understanding is unique to each and every one of us. कि तुम्हारी strength क्या है? What do you enjoy? This girl articulated it beautifully. She's basically deep dived and said, मेरे को बचपन से ये करना अच्छा लगता है, which is why this industry matters to me. Or I think this is an industry of choice, right? How many of you know what you like? Raise your hands. Right? Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. अरे खाया ना दोपहर का time. हाँ, keep your hands up. You know what you like. Now, how many of you have married what you like to what you wish to be doing in the future? Keep your hands up if you still retain that. Right? I know you're qualified. Okay.
Okay.
Right? Now the hands dropped. The challenge, perfect. That's okay. So where we are coming from is understanding yourself is introspection. Is saying, मुझे क्या खुशी देता है? How many of you have heard this beautiful term called work-life balance? Everybody's heard. How many of you believe that as you grow up, you should have great work-life balance? Everybody, right? You don't think so? Or you're too lazy? Of course you think you should have great work-life balance. That's where the problem stems from. The problem stems from you treating work as not part of your life. The minute you put it outside and you actually take it as 9 to 6 life and then 7 to 11. Why? Why can we not make it? Why can we not blend the lines? If you can actually blend the lines, you don't need work-life balance. Your life is fantastic anyways because you're doing what you love. And you all made choice to get into creative fields, right? When you made that choice, I'm sure you had a discussion back at home. बेटा ये करके क्या करोगे आगे? कितनों का हुआ, कितनों का नहीं हुआ, कितनों के माँ बाप ने बोला कर लो, नहीं ना, किसी ने तो पूछा होगा कि इसके आगे क्या करोगे, which means you had a little bit of vision that, okay, my friends are doing this, which is why I'm doing it. Or you know what, after this is my next step. There would be some vision that you had. Now bring that vision to life as you grow up, become a little more certain about who you are. How many of you heard of SWOT analysis? Very good, very good. खुद पे किया है कभी? Yeah, very good. करो. हर एक साल में खुद का SWOT करो. ठीक है? क्या अचीव कर बोलो?
Do you think SWOT comes under introspection somewhere?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Which is why on this slide I'm hinting on it. Because वो एक शुरुआत है, right? काफी time you will debate with yourself कि, is this a strength or is this my weakness, right? But the answer only lies with you. You can talk to 5 people, but your opinion has to be your own. That where do you see you play to your strengths? Everybody keeps saying that, right? Dravid is good at defense. He cannot go there and play T20 cricket. He's got to keep defending, right? So the point is you need to play to your strengths. For that, you need to understand yourself. So we've covered 2 points. You understood the industry you want to get into. You understood yourself. This forms the base of you winning any debate. कि मुझे नहीं लगता यार ये industry चलेगा. But you are so convinced that this is right for you that you will not get influenced by others' opinions. Right? This is where you first seed the concept. Now, little specific to events. हम जब इवेंट की बात करते हैं हर किसी को ना ग्लैमर दिखता है. So अगर अमित रनन कभी किसी को प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहा है, my pages look like this, right? You've got Hrithik Roshan, you've got Katrina Kaif, you've got Kareena Kapoor, and we say, you know what, we put the biggest stages, we do the song and dance, I can manage a show flow, and that's the profile. But the real part is, this is 1 hour output of 3 months of hard work that goes behind it, right? And nobody talks about that. Right? People are worried about this. So when somebody comes to an interview to me, he says, yeah, you did an event with Gautam Adani, I know that. They have the face. It's like a movie, right? You're seeing an actor, actress at the end of the day, but the real work is done by the editors, the cinematographer, the directors, the choreographers. There's so much effort that goes on behind. But eventually, the cake's taken by the faces. So we play to the gallery. But the behind the scenes, because you are choosing to go behind the scenes, right? And that is very, very critical. Any industry you choose social media, you choose digital, right? Something goes viral. You say, you know what, I want to be somebody who designs this campaign that gets so many hits and all of that. Fantastic. But there's got to be a thought process behind everything. So there's got to be a logic behind everything. And then it requires a lot of hard work, right? You keep seeing, lots of funny content out there saying client approval in one go. Kabhi hota hi nahi. Oh, such hai. Right? We get client feedback at 7 p.m. in the evening. And then you have a team sitting back and working on it. So the one fact that I wanted to put out to you is events is beautiful glamour on the face. Wedding, oh wow, what a wedding, etc., etc. But dude, it's a lot of hard work. It's dealing with mama, chacha, bhanja, tai, saying mere ko lal chahiye tha, ye itna lal nahi hai. That is a debate, right? And you have to live with it, which is why I don't do weddings at all. I have no patience of dealing with human beings. Right? Because I can't differentiate between salmon, pink, and fuchsia. So I said, okay, that's not the domain I want to get into. Right? So we understood the part 1, which were the fact checks. Right? Any industry, any work, back in, a lot of hard work. You got to know the industry, you figured out yourself. Everybody with me so far? Right? Nobody's seen their phone so far, so I'm online. Perfect. The second is you now getting into making some choices. Right? And this is the biggest part of introspection. This comes with a little bit of maturity. Ye sirf SWOT karke nahi aayega. This is an important section, right? How people like reading?
Yes.
So anybody read the Blue Ocean Strategy? No? It's a good business book. Please read it, right? If there's an entrepreneurial streak in you where you believe that you want to make a difference, you want to do something, for yourself, let's put it that way. Or even for a company for that matter. Blue Ocean Strategy is a very good book to read. Okay. It only tells you crowded market, figure out a blind spot. There is always a blind spot. Any industry, there is always a blind spot. Right? So figure out what that spot is and try and create something there. So there I read this term called, are you a magician, maverick, or a muse? Beautiful term. It basically meant that when you are trying to figure out what service would you provide, or in our cases, what service would you provide as an individual to a company, an event company, digital company, wedding company, whoever it is, right? You need to realize what your positioning is. आप sales लोगे, आप client servicing लोगे, operations लोगे. These are facts, right? You need to kind of figure out which role you fit into, because education to sab same le rahe. Education sab same le rahe, but your role will be different when you go inside the company. So what are you asking for? I have a lot of students whom I interview. मैं बहुत मेहनत करूँगा sir. I'm a very hardworking person. भाई तूने तो अब तक काम नहीं किया. How did you realize you're a hardworking person? No, I'm very hardworking. I don't want hard. I want a smart working person. Work for 5 hours in a day. 3 hours we'll chill. We'll play cricket. But those 5 hours have got to give me the output. So you need to ask yourself certain questions. This is a part of the question. I've customized it to us at events. Okay. Magician Maverick Muse. I'm not deep diving into it. I'm getting into the a la carte that's available for us, the creative people. There are 4 options, and this is self-created. This is no book. I like that comparison, so I created this myself. There are 4 options. There is a visionary, there is a storyteller, there is a creator, and then there is a peacemaker. Okay? We'll deep dive into each one of them. And I want everybody, how many of us are here? 25, 30?
Yeah.
Right? I want each one of you to at least identify yourself from one of these. You're saying, yeah, this sounds more like me. And you could sound multiples as well. It is not like one bracket fits one. No. One bracket, you might fit in 3 brackets as well. Right? But I want to hear that from you. Can we do that?
Okay.
Right? So let's get into it. So the visionary. Now, the visionary is somebody who identifies opportunities. उसने किसी के बारे में कुछ सुना, कुछ ब्रांड देखा, उसने एक होर्डिंग देखी और उसके ऊपर से उसको 2 आइडियाज आए. You know, आपने एक पिक्चर देखी और आपने उसके you could imagine 3 different endings for it. You know, there was a thriller you were watching and you knew what's going to happen at the end. Right? All of these indirectly are ways to tell you that, you know what, you can see ahead, you can plan ahead. Right? Right or wrong, that doesn't matter. What matters is you have a bubble of imagination. You can imagine, you can create a different world. Right? And if you can do that, which means you can bring that skill set to your job. Right? And that makes you partial visionary. What next? He likes an audience. He or she likes an audience. Right? They like to talk. You have a great thought, but you are keeping it within yourself. You will not be able to spell it. Right? For God's sake, Steve Jobs had to have a second run to make Apple what Apple was. Because the first run, he was a great technician, but not a great leader. It's when he lost everything, he came back to learning the managerial skills as well. Right? And that's where he then became the visionary that he was. Right? Anybody better than him? Hardly. Right? So that's where we are coming from. You need an audience. You should be able to put your thoughts in words and translate it to somebody in front of you. Right? And be accepted to take feedback as well.
Yeah.
Not everything you say has got to be good. Third, I say, builds their own story. A lot of people have mentors. A lot of people have idols. But that doesn't mean you have to become like them. That only means you need to learn certain traits from people. But आपकी खुद की story होनी चाहिए, आपका खुद का path होना चाहिए. Every company is unique, every individual is unique. Right? My friend is earning 10 lakhs per annum, which is now why I want 10 lakhs per annum. Right? What do you bring to the table that you deserve that 10 lakhs per annum? That's what a visionary should be talking about. He should not be in the comparative world where saying Sharma ji ke bete ko itne aaye to humko bhi aane chahiye. That's what we're talking about. Right? Do we get that? And the most important one is the last line. Do I need to explain it? Mahendra Singh Dhoni also lost a lot, right? Everybody loses. Everybody. And you've got to be ready to accept failure, no matter what industry you take, no matter what you take. The point is when you get into justification of failure, then you're getting into the bubble where you're not learning, you're not adapting, but you're actually getting into just saying, I'm right, come what may. मैंने तो सही किया. And that is not a visionary's trait. He's got to basically raise his hands up. So there are tons of mistakes that even we've made in events. Basically, आपको events की एक हकीकत बताता हूँ. Out of 100 events, 99.9% have errors. Have some or the other error. Right? But it is how you manage that. And then when a client is aware of it, do you duck it or do you own up to it? If you land up owning up to it, I have never seen someone being shot. When a cop catches a criminal, he says, hands up. When he raises his hands, have you ever seen someone being shot out at that time?
No.
It is when you hold the gun back again. It's as simple as that. Right? So how many of you feel that you're partially there or you'd like to be a visionary. Let's put it that way. 1, 2, 3. Okay, not bad. Nobody's being judged. There are no marks for this session, yeah? Good, good. So we got about 6, 7 of you. Nice. Right? Understood?
Yeah.
Let's move forward. The second is the storyteller. He's the one who's basically, let's actually get into it. Let's deep dive. When you say a storyteller, the first thing you'll say is, "Arey, wo kya bolta ho?" You know, he can mesmerize you with just talking. But actually, a storyteller's best trait is he's a good listener. The first part, what is spoken and what is unspoken. Both. Right? Unspoken is your body language. Unspoken is me telling you, dig into your phone, please. Like that girl is there. Right? So I know where the attention is going, where it's not going. You need to understand how your audience is reacting. Imagine you're in a meeting with 10 people and you throw an idea to somebody. You're talking about the idea and you see 3 people disinterested. There are 2 options you have. Option 1 is ensure that you target those people to bring them back into the game because you heard the unspoken language, even whilst you were talking. And 2 is that you know that's not my audience, that's not the decision makers. The decision makers sitting there, let me focus my energies there and let me get a win out of this conversation. The choice is yours depending on what conversations happen, right? But the storyteller has to, you cannot, all of you would have kind of heard of body language skills and presentation skills. And they keep telling you, keep hovering, keep hovering. There is a reason you need to keep hovering your audience and not keep looking at one person and talking all the time. Because you are going to lose the other people. 100%. But the storyteller realizes that. That doesn't mean that you keep doing this all the time. But there are tacts where your body language also is comfortable for others to accept. Good listener is also somebody who is, when somebody is giving feedback and they put a but into it. A lot of us who are storytellers try to counter that but even before listening. Right? But let me tell you how I approach it. So when I have told a story or given an idea to a client and he says, but my body language comes ahead and I come on the table. Yeah, tell me more. Because there's another perspective and he's the brand. He's the guy who's got the money. For God's sake, I cannot ignore that but. And I've got to bring that in. So I could listen to him. I might agree with him and then I could counter. The storyteller has to listen, right? Observes the onset. We've covered that in a bit. Builds a vision in thin air. You've got to look. The creative field is such where everybody could say, "Ye kaise hoga yaar? How do I visualize it? How can I imagine it?" Right? An architect can still design it, but he cannot bring that entire architecture to your house and make it live till the time it is live, because a design to reality could be different. So you can only convince through your profile, but the story you're reciting needs to be so convincing with anecdotes and examples that he doesn't have to question your vision. So if we design a campaign for somebody, right? Like, let me give you an example. We designed this campaign for a brand called MoneyGram. I'm sure not many of you have heard of it. MoneyGram is the second largest money transfer company. But the brand deals in cash-to-cash transfer. So they don't deal with the middle class or the upper middle class or the upper class. They deal with the labor class. So there are people who go outside to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and they're doing labor work, and they send money back home, right? So they came up to us and they gave us a brief of saying, you know what, Ramadan is coming. This is back in 2017-18. And they said, Ramadan is coming around the corner. And I want to engage with their families back home to influence the behavior of them not using Western Union, but using MoneyGram. Every brand's brief is, mera product use karo. So what did we do for them? The concept, after a lot of brainstorming, came down to actually seeing that what is Ramadan? The question was, what is Ramadan? And when we looked at it, we said, okay, these people don't watch TV. They hardly read newspapers, right? Celebrity interactions are very limited. because content digestion is kind of pretty limited. But yes, they are going to pray 5 times a day. They're going to pray 5 times a day. Okay. Now what do you do? So we started looking at what are other brands doing. Every brand is kind of feeding food in the evening. Because Ramadan, you eat in the evening. So they're going to the market there. So now that's a very cluttered market, right? Because every brand is going there. But the mornings is completely empty for me to talk to my target audience who's not consuming a lot of data. So I went and took the brand where they go. We gave them a simple insight, right? We said you go to a Gurdwara or you go to a Mandir. You, earlier days, आप लोगों के ज़माने की बात नहीं है, मेरे ज़माने की बात. You go, you park your chappals or shoes outside, you go in, you pray, you come out, you wear somebody else's shoes and you got to go back because your shoes are gone. So we got evolved. Now came token system, right? You go now, you give, you go to Siddhi Vinayak also, आप जाते हो, जूता देते हो, चप्पल, token लेते हो. You come back, you get your own shoes. Voila. Simple, right? But you go in any masjid in India, even to date, you do not have a token system because they don't touch your chappals. And that was the insight. And we said, why not bring both the communities together? We targeted 350 mosques across all India in the states of the brand. And we set up a shoe service. For 30 days, into 5 times, a person would come, park his shoes, give his chappals, take a token, he would interact with MoneyGram. What is MoneyGram trying to say was written on that token, right? And he would give that back. It translated into 3.5% more business. And that was the success of the campaign. So you basically, when we gave the idea, you built it on statistics, you built it on facts, you built it on, everything real. But it wasn't, oh, this has happened in Italy, which is why it will work in India. ये देखा देखी Indian market में बहुत होता है. We always want to know who's done it first. So brands will come to you and they say, I want an idea that is never been done before. You will give them an idea and then they'll say, who did it before? But how do you know this will work? If I knew it will work, then what was the brief? But that's the reality of life, which is where the capability of a storyteller to convince and create. Right? You with me?
Yes. Yeah.
Make you dream, pretty much. Like I said, make you visualize, make you take through that. So how many of us are storytellers here? Good. Just 2. 3. Okay. This is a very beautiful role by
I
you.
know.
इतना डरा क्यों? इतना सोचने के बाद. Okay, fair. This is where you get into teams like content, conceptualizations, right? This is where you get into teams like sales, right? This is very key to kind of be a backbone for anything and everything you do in life. By the way, on that point, how many of your salespeople here? How many of you think there is that sales kida in you? Nobody? Okay. How many of you are going to get jobs? Pretty much everybody? All of you are going to get jobs? How the hell are you going to get a job? You're going to sell yourself, right? Each and every one of you is a salesperson. You cannot be a no salesperson. You sell your resume, you sell your profile, you sell your capabilities. Please, next time somebody asks you, you are selling in some manner or the else. Mom, Dad, allow me to go for an overnight. I'm going to Italy with my friends. Whatever the hell you are doing, you're selling. You are selling. And the problem of our country is we believe sales means targets. We believe sales means कुछ तो achieve किया तो. अब आप वो daily life में कर रहे हो. सेल्स का मतलब होता है गाइस कम्युनिकेशन, कि आपकी जबान है, आपका दिमाग है और वो दोनों साथ चलते हैं. आप लोगों से बात कर सकते हो. अगर आप बात कर सकते हो तो आप सामने वाले को अपना पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू मनवा सकते हो. अगर आप मनवा सकते हो तो शायद आपके अंदर एक सेल्स का बंदा है. इट्स everybody. Just that whether you want to pursue that as a division, that's different. But otherwise, when you take your profile and you finding a job, you are selling yourself. Your CV, your skills, what you wear, how you dress, all of that is part of your sales skills. Right? Sorry for the diversion, but I'll get to it quickly. The creator, right? The favorite term of events. He is the guy who never says no. ये हो ही नहीं सकता.
हो जाएगा हो जाएगा
कितने वाले दिल्ली से यहाँ पे? दिल्ली से कोई? एक है. You should relate to it, right? दिल्ली वाले जुगाड़ू वाले.
everything
ठीक है? वो कभी भी उनके जुगाड़ पे मत विश्वास करें. बाकी हिंदुस्तान अलग है. Don't judge me. I'm just kidding. But you know, the jugadu kinds are the most blue-eyed people in any company. Because A, they don't say no. B, they're solution-oriented. वो हर प्रॉब्लम को पहले देखेंगे यार इसका जुगाड़ क्या होगा इसको करूँगा there is always one way and then there is a shortcut way and then there is a wrong way right but these are what get capsulated saying plan A plan B plan C that's what is a creator. He doesn't go into life with just one plan and which is why their chances of failure are less which is why their chances of getting demoted from anybody is less because they provide solutions, right? These are the guys who are the backbone of the visionary and the storyteller. मैंने तो बोल दिया, करेगा कौन? 350 mosque में shoe service करूँगा. Somebody's got to do it on ground for me to be able to stand in front of you and actually deliver that as a story. So there is a creator who will always back the visionary, back the storyteller. Right? And also give him a pun on the knuckle. थोड़ा ज़्यादा उड़ रहा. ये नहीं हो पाया. Right? So somebody, everybody saw how Brahmastra was launched.
yes
The drone show.
Yeah.
It was being marketed in India 2 to 3 years before Brahmastra picked it
yeah exactly
by the same company. Right? That event happened at almost 3.5 crores was that launch. It happened in Varanasi, right? 3.5 crores. 6 months back, Birla Estates did it in 55-60 lakh rupees. First mover advantage was there. I didn't know it. It's just an example I'm giving you. But the dream into reality requires that creator who builds that team, who builds the technicians, who puts the right set of people together to ensure that the plan is actually executed. Right? Is passionate for details. Right? Some of you might have OCD. Right? You might like things kept in a certain way. This tells you that it might be good if you actually looked at operations, if you looked at creatives, if you looked at content again in that sense, because you have an eye for detail. Right? Every time they say, I have a problem of OCD. It's not a problem. It's a trait. It's a trait. And that trait tells you that you like doing things in a certain way. If you adapt that in your life, no problem. It's an advantage. It's an asset that you carry. Right? How many of you creators here? I was hoping a lot of you. Good. Right? That brings me to the last one.
peacemaker
The peacemaker. Right? Balance is the act in the storm. Shit's always going to hit the roof. Right? Somebody's got to manage the client. Somebody's got to tell the boss that he's wrong in the right way. Right? Somebody's got to tell the creative guy that you did a fuck all job in that creative. It doesn't meet the expectations. Somebody's got to give that feedback constructively. Or somebody's got to take that criticism for your company head on. Right? Somebody lands up saying, you know what? I have seen 10 better companies like yours. And you suddenly go and say, then go work with them.
that's not how it works
Doesn't help. You're going to lose the business. Right? So you keep your eye on the price. The peacemaker knows that's the goal. I will get there however. But I will balance the storm. Right? They don't lose their shit. Second, relationship building. Right? आपका दादा दादी के साथ, आपके ताई जी के साथ बहुत अच्छे रिश्ते हैं. Imagine bringing that same trait to the business and the company that you're in. कि आपके client के साथ, अरे client के चौकीदार के साथ, parking मिलती है. Saves you time, right? It saves you time. I was 20 minutes late here and I got parking. I would have been 5 minutes faster. Example, it's not true. But I went to the wrong address. That's true. Right? So where I'm coming from is, if you like building relations, if you have the patience, to deal with people on a humane level, then you are a peacemaker, because you will be able to build those relations and bring that to your job. You will be able to talk about, अरे मौसम कितना अच्छा है, से लेके अर्जेंटीना कैसे हार गया, say all these topics, because you love relationships, you love conversations, right? That's a part of it. Build one step at a time. You went out there, you spoke about Saudi and Argentina, you spoke about the weather, you spoke about oil prices, and then you come to, tell me about business, how are you?
How is it going?
You are not going to get business. You need to go slow, steady. You need to know one step at a time. You can't meet a girl the first time and say, you know what, it was so wonderful to see you the first time. You can't do that. You got to build that relation one step at a time. Right? It's the first date, the first movie, the first coffee, right? All of that. Of course, different generation, I understand. My generation, that was what worked, right? So that's where we come from. You need to go one step at a time. How many of you believe you could be a peacemaker? Good. I have some good client servicing prospects here. That's the role. That's the role. You're front-enders. A peacemaker can never be a back-end person. Okay, remember that. Because if you love conversations, you love relationships, you need to be in the front of that company. You will have a relationship with the MD, you'll have a relationship with their accountant, right? And the last thing you should ever do is treat somebody basis their designation. This is a life mantra, I'm giving. Nothing else. Treat everybody as human beings. Ek naak, do aak, do kaan. Ek kam bhi hua, to bhi human being. The point is that the minute you bring that to the table, guys, I'm telling you, it's an invaluable asset, and not everybody has it. Not everybody has it, right? I would have had over 100 employees. Yeah, I'm 40 right now, 45. I would have over 150, 170 odd employees. About 7 or 8 would be my pick if I had to ever rehire any of them out of that entire lot, because of this one factor, that human relationship kaise bana. That's it. Right? It's a very, very important fact. That was good? Did that help?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions that anybody has before I move to the baby steps that you should take in your work life?
No.
One? None?
Can I ask something?
Of course.
If a person is visionary as well as a creator and wishes to be a pacemaker as well, so how does that person come out to be? Like, what is the main trait?
You should start with being a creator. Because the minute you start creating and you find success, you will be able to spell your vision out to people far more clearly. You'll have a success story to back you, like a testimonial to back you. And that will mean then whether you go to your entrepreneurial journey, or, like I love to call it, an entrepreneurial journey. Okay, that you're working for a company, but you're making your own within that. Because everybody believes, अरे मैं entrepreneur बनूंगा, मेरे को funding मिलेगी आज की तारीख में, फिर मैं company बेच दूंगा. That guy is the worst peacemaker. I'm so sorry. Which is where you're seeing startups bomb in India. The tradition has just started. We've all heard about how great our startup bubble is and how much funding we are getting, but they are all only there to make money. It's a very short sight. If you're a creator, you're going to create, you're going to have a success, you're going to build on that slowly, steadily. Your resume is going to get powerful, and then you'll be able to spell out your vision. And by that time, you would have figured out what shit your business is in or your industry is in. That's the perfect way to go. How will you become a peacemaker? It's a very simple piece. Relationship to value. There is nothing else. If you kind of put a price tag on a relationship, you will not devalue. But if you think it's come for free to you, so that is a trait, right? But I would, as a role, then tell you to go the creative way more, and from there build on. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? Well,
So, like we were talking about introspection. So, like how to make sure whatever decisions or whatever you're concluding from introspection, it is not out of certain biases or certain prejudices. How to make sure that
I
you're
love the question. इस पे थोड़ा diverse, थोड़ा conversation को divert.
so like एक idea है कि हाँ ये होता है. You need to be really honest with yourself.
Perfect.
But at certain times पता नहीं चलता. At the back of your mind, you have these biases, these
Correct.
stereotypes. So how to avoid them in the best possible manner?
Have you heard of? मैं sorry थोड़ा सा ज्ञान वाला बंदा हूँ, but have you heard of this term called wolf gang?
Wolf gang, like
सुना है किसी ने? सबकी होनी चाहिए.
like a tight group of like a tight group of friends, right?
Not just friends.
Anyone?
Half of it was said. The tight group.
People you
This is a
trust.
group of 5 people. I'm telling you, I'm giving you a number. It's a group of 5 people that you discuss your life with. You don't discuss have a sutta with.
Yeah.
Wolf gang वो नहीं है जिसके साथ आप अपनी love life discuss करो. वो भी करो. But ये वो 5 जन है whom you respect, whom you look up to, whom you confide in, and whom you feel comfortable with. Right? I should actually write this down. अच्छा था. Okay. So these are those 5 people. Now, this could be your father. This could be your best friend. This could be your girlfriend. थोड़ा risky है, but हाँ. Right? And this could be your brother-in-law who works somewhere. Right? Like a part of my wolf pack at certain stage of my career, of my life. I didn't know there was a wolf pack kind of a term then, but I realized this was my brother-in-law. And he's got a PhD in HR. And currently he's a partner at Deloitte. But he gave me the best gyan possible that saved me a lot of money and gave me a lot of happiness. Because, sorry, I'm going to say this in an open forum in an education institute, but he said it's not worth it. Right? So he said, focus on life, learn from your job. That'll be the strongest education you can ever have. Right? And he was a PhD in HR. He, till 34, invested his life, in actually getting a degree. And then when he got to it, he realized that the industry and his friends who started at 23, 24 were far ahead by that time. Right? Now he was in the catch-up race. And that's what happened. Life lesson. Wolf pack, I thought, works for me, man. I hate books. Right? And I adapted it. But I had to adapt it completely. I had to learn from life. Right? So I'm a commerce graduate standing in front of you. And I run a pretty decent enterprise. It's a decent shape. Right? So that's where it comes from. The wolf pack is got to be refreshed. It has to be refreshed. You should be talking to people who are happy in their lives. Right? Let's say you have a best friend, you confide in. Okay? But उसका breakup हो गया. तो वो जिंदगी से हार के अरिजीत सिंह सुन रहा है. और तू उससे बात कर रहा है कि यार ये job opportunity या ये job opportunity किससे बात करूं? He's not going to be in the best mindset to tell you. So you need to pick your wolf pack, refresh it. If you don't have 5, go out there, go attend sessions, go attend workshops, go holidaying, go partying, find people. Find people. Let me tell you, my fact, okay? 2020, pandemic hit, we all frustrated, all of this. I lost a couple of people from the wolf pack by that time because they were struggling with their businesses, not happy people. Nah. Okay. So I wanted to find a replacement. So I went to this community called BHX. If any of you in the future want to, they're a good community. BHX is Beach House Project. They bring 30 creative heads, none of whom know each other, and they play Big Boss with them. They lock them in a bungalow for 7 days. Okay? There's no Big Boss. That's right. But you're locked with 30 creative heads. I approached BHX at an age of 38, thinking, एक तो दोस्त निकलेगा, एक तो ऐसा बंदा निकलेगा जिसके साथ मैं constructive, creative debate कर सकता हूँ. I came up with 4. I have retained 1. Right? The others are there. They're friends. Right? But I came up with 1. Cognizant's product design head. Right? And a guy who's far matured, I can throw ideas and he can throw life ideas at me. and we can discuss. I also learned and I adapted yoga there, right? Because I just believed it was good fun. Yeah, it wasn't that difficult and I could do it. You learned things even at that point of time. But I went looking. And if you guys can bring Wolfpack into your life this early, I brought it at almost 34, 35. Trust you me, it's a game changer. Because होगा क्या तू अपने डिसीजंस पांचों को बताएगा 5 में से शायद 3 एग्री करेंगे 2 नहीं बट सब एक रीजनिंग देंगे जब आप बताते हो अपना डिसीजन उसके रीजंस मत बताओ राइट आप उतना ही इंफॉर्मेशन दो कि आपको echo में you get to know what is it that they are a sounding board. They give you that feedback. And that helps you make a wholesome decision. If all 5 are friends and there is no family, there is nobody from your young life, there is nobody from your possible future, it's a little bit of a challenge there because friends are not always very happy. Success. Some of them pull you back as well. होता है generic but mix रखो एक चीज का. Right? Gender mix रखो, इसका mix रखो. And it's a very good exercise ना. खुद के ऊपर बैठे हो introspect करो, तुमने सोचा यार ये बंदे से बात करके कुछ जा ही नहीं रहा. Like my best friend is not in my Wolfpack. He's my 7th standard buddy. Right? But sorry to say, he got stuck in a call center, 15 years working. I am in his Wolfpack, but he's not in it. And people don't know you have a Wolfpack, by the way. This is not a term कि आम आदमी जानता है. आम आदमी खाली एक दोस्त से बात करता है. But अगर आप 5 जन से करोगे, ये philosophy काम करेगी ही करेगी, guaranteed. Right? I'll move forward.
Thank you, sir.
Time there. Cheers. Baby steps. You've chosen your industry. You know why you've chosen it. You know yourself. You know which facet of the pyramid that you want to be in, visionary peacemaker. Now, what are the few baby steps that you should be taking? And these are life mantras. Number 1, participate in every role in your first 3 to 5 years of working. Do not say no. Operations देते हैं, करो. Creative pitch देते हैं, करो. Backend minutes बनाने बोलते हैं, बनाओ. Get your hands dirty with every possible role within your organization. So that when you grow up the ladder, you know the pros and cons of every role. You know when you hire, what is it the role that requires? And not bookishly, it says 5 years of work experience writing content. You ask somebody, oh, you can write content? Yeah, I write very well. Okay. You know the right questions to ask. You know, how long would it take for you to come up with a line like this? Somebody says 10 minutes. He's a bad content writer. In 10 minutes, if you could crack it, then you wouldn't need Amul and you wouldn't need the Ogilvies of the world, the Group M's of the world and all of this. You need to actually deep dive and say, what does each word bring out? What story is it saying? Who is it appealing to? What's my target audience? So many questions to ask, right? But you have to do everything. So, like I say, walk, cycle, get on a bike, second-hand car, and then your own car, and then the Ferrari. It cannot be walk and Ferrari. If it's that, Appanu business che, you're not going to win the respect, right? Win the respect by walking. Even if it's your dad's business, go there. Don't pick up the reins first. Learn every bloody role, right? And then get to the managerial position. Second, find a mentor. At every stage in life, you need somebody who has been there, done that. I'm very selfish because I want to learn from his mistake. मुझे वो गलती क्यों repeat करनी? Right? My mentor told me having a partner in a business is bad for a long term because अनबन हो सकती है, your partnerships break and all of that. Keep a very tight eye on the finances of it, very tight eye. So here is what I did. I have a partner and I told her that this is why businesses fail, which is where I will never check my accounts. I don't sign a single check, right? I empowered her by my weakness. And now she takes care of it. She keeps me informed. I get every message from every bank that I am on, which is on silent, mute, and I don't know what's there in my account. Because my understanding from my mentor's mistake was that somewhere they discussed numbers. And something was said that they didn't like. So I said, I will not discuss numbers, right? We'll discuss solutions. Yes, there will be problems. Of course, when the pandemic came, I did get into the accounts to realize, can we survive the pandemic? And to my pride, without a rupee of debt, without a single venture funder, without 1% equity going out of my hand, we survived the pandemic. We entered with 28 employees. Like I said, we are 45 today. We've hired more. We onboarded 6 new clients in the pandemic, right? Because she'd kept it that solid. We were, so when you get into it, loan lete hain log, aapko loan बेचते रहते हैं इतने percent पे. It's very lucrative for a business guy to pick up loans and then start a business. But then that's not your own money. So we kept the cycle going, and somehow she structured in such a way, touch wood, till date, that's not been a challenge. So your mentor makes the mistakes, you learn. Your mentor succeeds with something, you emulate, right? I've shared a document which I'll show you in the end as well. It's called Wood Times, right? He used to write every month to my entire customer base, handwritten mail saying what happened this time, this month, the hiring. So I was a recruiter when I started my career, my first few years of working. And he used to go out and write to 40, 50 clients on the recruitment trends that are happening, what will happen internationally, what's the trend. And he was looked after and seeked after to, for constructive conversations by brands, by HR people. And I love that. I took a leaf out of that, and that's what I emulated when I do my work here at Wood Factor. So you learn a lot, right? So find a mentor. It's always a great sounding board in one sense, and a good part of a wolf pack, ready-made wolf pack, right? So going on, right? So third part's important, constructive debates as well. Somebody who's level-headed who can actually throw your idea back at you and say, you know what, this won't work, or can be your devil's advocate in that sense. Third, my favorite line is make new mistakes. Galtiyan karo. Repeat. Right? Learn from them. So my wife, unfortunately, once met with a small accident. Night 3 o'clock, the car skid, hit the bumper and the rear. And she called me in panic, and I went there. This was Powai. Went there and we'll fix the car. My only question to her was, how did this happen? Right? And she kind of couldn't point out the reason of why it happened. So there was a driver that came in, and she's not driven for too long after that. But the challenge is you need to figure out the error. Because if she had known that, you know what, this is what happened. There was oil on the track and the car skid. Then I know that, okay, fair. It's a mistake of once. If your car's going right, you have to spin it more right. You don't need to spin it left. I can tell her the solution. But if you cannot identify the mistake, or if you put it under the carpet and you move on, you are missing a great chance of learning, right? So please make new mistakes, learn from them so that you don't repeat them is all I'm saying, right? And these are all the first 3 years of your life. Own up to your mistakes. Right? If you mess up, go to your manager, tell him this is how you'll not repeat it. I'm sure you're not going to get Roger for that. Final section. You've been in the company, you've spent 3 years, 5 years, you've done the basics right, you've got a good sounding board, you've got a good wolf pack around you. Now it's time to take the leap. Here is how, a few tips for life mantra. Events or otherwise. Like I said, there is nothing called work-life balance. Your life is got to be balanced. As simple as that. So find your happiness and family at your workplace. Make friends there, have conversations there, right? And that will really help you have a longer career cycle. Guys, my business is only going because I have friends. In my clients also, I made friends, right? They might be at companies today where they don't have budgets. They don't have enough. They're at a startup. They don't have too many budgets for actually spending on a brand, on an activation or an event in that sense. I still, before coming here, I was actually on a call with 4 people of Axis Bank marketing. My entire business from Axis Bank would be below a CR. But I was consulting them on the next year's plans for 2023 as to how their approach should be for their brand, because they consider that, okay, this guy has a little bit of understanding and head on his shoulder. And we designed 4 campaigns for them over the drive from Chembur to this place. So you made friends, you made family out there. People rely on you. And when they do that, they will not leave you when your chips are down. When my chips were down in the pandemic, हम बेशरम की तरह हर client के पास गए, हमने बोला please काम चाहिए, काम दो. Let me give you an example. How many of you know Katrina Kaif? Everybody knows Katrina. Wonderful. How many of you believe she's a good actor? There you go. Why the hell is she successful?
Salman Khan.
Not bad. Partially. But so sources from the industry and close sources because my wife works in the industry. Right? This girl is so humble that you should learn this life lesson from her. If the grapevine always is very strong. There's a writer, he's taking the script to a director or a producer, and somebody's picking that script up, and then they're sitting on casting. Long exercise. The word gets out always, right? That there's a movie happening, and you know what? They're looking for a lead actress, a lead actor. The lead actor is Akshay Kumar, and he's been signed on XYZ. So the entire industry today waits for that call. सामने से manager को call आएगा that you know what, Mr. XYZ Sanjay Leela Bhansali wants to meet you. He's considering you for the role. Will you come and talk? And you want to do a script reading and all of that. This lady is different and successful because she picks up the phone. She got Suryavanshi because of this reason. Suryavansham, whatever that movie was.
She only.
Because she kept hounding Rohit Shetty. Sir, I know you have just come up with a movie. Can you please consider me? She is as on date also doing that. As on date. She's that humble that she wants to have a relationship with everybody, and she puts herself out there and says, you know what, if you think I'm suitable for the role, please consider. And that's the reason why she never goes out of favor. She doesn't get the biggest challenging roles, but she keeps getting the big ones. Right? Partially, Salman, fair. But there's a lot to learn from that one trait that person has. Right? That's something I hope. Very interesting. Identify clients, industries that you can relate to and understand. Right? Pharma mein chale gaye. Content bana rahe ho, pharma mein chale gaye. You're a storyteller, you went into pharma. You don't understand jack shit of what happens. Right? How will you be successful? How will you be happy? How will you come back home and be excited to go to work the next day? If you're doing it for the price tag that comes with it, then be ready to pay a price for it as well. A lot of people move just because of CTC. But the ones that are having a longer career, stable career, are the ones that find happiness. And yes, the money, of course, will flow. Very, very important. Stay relevant. What I mean to say here is, if you are in an employment, right, you need to keep contributing to the company in various roles. If you're just doing one specialization, I like being jack of all in that sense. The company sees that, okay, this division is not working, I can move you here. Or this project you're not done well in, no problem. She did well somewhere else. But if you're relevant, you're always, you know what's happening in the industry. Nobody is going to throw a person like that out. You're not going to get benched. If you're an entrepreneur and you want a business that kind of runs for a long time, you need to keep talking today, the knowledge of yesterday, and possibilities of tomorrow. If you're having such conversations with brands, be it digital, be it creators, be it events. Let's say I'm getting an event, but I'm only thinking, like every PR company in India, you go to them and you say, I need good PR for this bottle. I'm launching a new Bisleri packaging. How will I get good media coming at the media event? Every PR company's solution is one. Oh, we'll get Kareena Kapoor to hold this bottle and they will come and she'll take a picture and she'll unveil it. But there's got to be a story behind it. There's got to be why that person deserves to come and unveil, right? If that PR company can actually build a story around it, can actually find relevancy around why that solution is being proposed, then the brand should pick it up. But maximum people are here to do a tick mark on their KRA. KRA hota hai, right? You have your KPIs, your KRAs that you have to achieve as a brand manager, as a company. At that case, they're only very, 200 people were required, 200 people came. What after that? Did the brand talk to anybody? Did it make the right ripple effect? Did the media go to the relevant people? All of that kind of helps you stay relevant. When we look at events, guys, we look at it from a perspective of, if you're spending this money, what is it in return that you want? Not just the numbers, but tell me what. So I want visibility, I want lead generation, I want sales. What is it that you want? Now, in what quantity that you want it? So if I want 1,000 leads by spending X amount of money, I will need to target 10,000 people. So 1:10 gives me the data. And then you design a campaign. And when you present the idea, you literally say, this will reach 20,000 eyeballs, which is where I will be able to garner 5,000 conversations, out of which I might be able to garner 1,000 leads. And that's how you kind of break it down. The minute you present a campaign or an idea broken down into numbers and micro level, there is nobody who can debate it, right? We have about 15 odd minutes. So I'll give you one more example of this. There was a pitch for HDFC Bank. Everybody knows HDFC Bank. They have an employee engagement project called Josh Unlimited. It wasn't Josh by that time. From the last 10 years, we are the only agency that manages that across 39 cities for HDFC Bank. And physically, we engage 35,000 employees of the bank. What do? We do 9 different sports on a single day, on a sports field. Cricket, football, Lagori. Do you know what Lagori is?
Yes.
Good. Volleyball, athletics, badminton, carom, chess, TT. All sports happening in a city where one individual, let's say he, can take part in 2 sports. Right? Now this, as a campaign, as an idea was, I want to do a sports event for my employees. That was a one-line brief. What we presented was a concept of doing an Olympics. Then after I go to 39 cities, the gold medalist of every city comes down to Mumbai and they compete in a gala finale. So only 16 out of the 39 cities qualify for a lot of factors. But guys, when I presented this campaign to them, they were mind-boggled because I told them 10 years back that I could take care of 3,500 people across a weekend, and 3,500 people could play 2 sports, and I have a formula that said this is how it will be mapped. And if he's playing a cricket game, he will come only 30 minutes before. If he loses, he goes home. If he wins, he'll need to stay back. I came down to that level of planning. Cut to 9 years, 10 years down the line, Josh Unlimited is still alive. It started with 8 cities as an experiment. It today goes out to 39 cities. It starts in the month of September. It ends in the month of Feb. Every weekend, my team travels to 3 or 4 cities to execute that one event. Right? So that was the relevancy that I built, that come whatever season, we are mandatory to HDFC Bank. Right? One line, which people keep saying, never give up. Never give up. Brands keep telling you, never give up. I say, please give up. Because if you're a visionary, sometimes you have a stupid idea. That doesn't always work. There is a line said by Mr. Aditya Puri. Everybody knows Aditya Puri? You should know Aditya Puri. Yes, no. HDFC Bank jante ho, Aditya Puri nahi jante. The man who made the Indian banking industry what it is. You should read him. You should read him. Good visionary. Right? And a very brash guy. Today, he will be sitting in a meeting, he'll take a decision. Tomorrow, he will come and he'll change the decision. And people will say, Sir, aapne to bola tha. He said, I said that yesterday when the situation and the dynamics were different. Today, the dynamics are different. I am only saying that decision is not right. This decision today is right. You need to move as per time, situation, your demographics that surround you. What works for brand A will not work for brand B. What works for company A will not work for company B. The culture that works for my company might not work for any other company. Right? So when you figured out the culture that you are comfortable around, the company that you're comfortable around, and you keep jumping jobs, you know what? you'll come back to the same place. Because that was your appeal. That was your, magnet. But don't be afraid to give up if you've made the wrong decision. Please give up sooner so that you can start doing something fresh. Somebody keeps saying 40 is not too old, you can start fresh that place. Yes, it is not. You can start fresh. It is never too late. But you need to realize that you made an error. What do you learn out of that? Because you don't make the same mistake again. And you take a fresh approach. Right? My final slide. Don't emulate other people. Build your own story. Say your own story. Be your own hero. How many of you want to make a movie and actually be a side actor? No one. That's why every story is unique. I told you mine, my mantras. If some of them are relevant to you, I'll be very happy. And I hope everybody can take something back from today. Right? That does my oration. Let me put it that way. Open to any questions. Tell me.
Sir, I have one question, not relating to your exact topic. But sir, how did your company manage to survive the pandemic? Like, what are some measures that are taken? Because in the pandemic, we saw many event management companies, they could not survive the shock of the lockdown.
Yeah.
So how did you all manage to sail by it?
So I'll correct two things there. Many event companies did not manage the shock of the lockdowns as other. Many event companies were selfish. They simply devoted people because they wanted to save money. That's it. Money was there. North Pole. Let's put it that way. Number one, our North Pole was people, clients, and my employees, and my vendors, which are very, very important. So when me and Smita sat down in April of 2020, and we knew this was a long rut that we were in. But the long rut for us was 3 months, 4 months. We never imagined 1.5 years. The couple of things that we did, the first thing I did is I started listening to my clients. So I started an initiative called Pause, which was a webinar. Zoom pe sab connect kar rahe the. But I was getting the managerial people from my clients to talk to my employee base, okay, as to how they felt their industry will react to the pandemic, right? So in banking, I was talking to the retail asset head, okay, of ICICI Bank, and he was telling me lending is going to go down, this industry will go down. He was telling me his strengths, and I was looking at the underlying message. Okay, if his business is going to go down in lending, which means मैं loan कम देने वाला हूँ, बंदा खर्चा कम करने वाला है. हाँ, हॉस्पिटल के बिल्स ऊपर जाएंगे, इंश्योरेंस ऊपर जाएगा, बट गोल्ड लोन नीचे जाएगा, पर्सनल लोन नीचे जाएगा, ट्रैवल इंश्योरेंस तो जीरो हो जाएगा. तो मुझे प्रोडक्ट्स के बारे में समझ आया, राइट? मैं रियल एस्टेट से बात कर रहा था. रियल एस्टेट ने बोला मेरा बूम होगा, बिकॉज मार्केट में इन्वेस्टमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज कम हो जाएंगी, एंड रियल एस्टेट विल सडनली बिकम ल्यूक्रेटिव बिकॉज माय कंस्ट्रक्शन साइट्स कैन स्टिल probably go on in 2 or 3 months. So when the country is on a stop, I might be developing, which means I might be delivering, right? So it's a mindset. What we started doing was I had about 7 or 8 sessions of Pause. It gave us insights into businesses. And then we decided, okay, virtual is one way to do events. I have an IT background, like I started by telling. So I quickly developed our own solution. We looked at a lot of partner solutions, saying, okay, let me tie up with this company. They have online webinars and all of that. But we didn't find comfort there. So we developed our own in-house solution, right? I had a background of technology, which is why I started doing online events, not webinars. Events. We did something called the Art Project, which is a project called TAP, the Art Project for HDFC Bank. It launched on May 1st. It ended on May 21st, right? Our target was to get 50,000 kids to participate in a drawing contest and submit that drawing online. Simple. I ended by getting 340,000 entries, right? Those entries then, because we had a lot of time to think, so we said we can make more out of this. We kept the campaign on for 5 more days, and we said, now go on and get votes on your drawings, right? Your kid has submitted a drawing, go get votes. Every vote, if I went to vote, was an OTP generation. So that phone number was getting validated, right? Which became additional data point for HDFC Bank. He can now call him and say, sir, loan chahiye, sir, loan chahiye. And I was the guy generating that data. How many numbers did I get? 47 lakh customers voted on these photos. 47 lakh, right? That was what we did during the pandemic. We innovated in areas, in limited grounds. Yes, my company, if it was 100 rupees, became 25, 28 rupees. That was how big a hit we took. Employees partnered with us. We gave everybody that feeling that, okay, if the company makes so much money, this is your percentage of salary. If your company makes anything more, this is your percentage, and your percentage is directly tied in with the company. And the most important thing that we did was we identified वो माँ बोलती है ना खाली दिमाग शैतान का घर, empty vessels make noise. We didn't let anyone for a single day without work. We kept everybody busy. Touchwood, out of 28 people walked out of the first wave without COVID. Because everybody was working for about 10 hours, having masti. We were making films. If you go on my Insta page and see woodfactor.events, you'll see films that we made in the pandemic and lots of masti that we did. So we made work fun, but we kept ourselves occupied throughout the time. Those were my success mantras. We survived 2020, 2021. We did double of what we did in 2020. And this year we've done double of what we did in 2020. Right? So we're coming back to what we used to do in 2019. This year is the first year, touchwood, which will be a comeback to scale sort of a year. Right? I hope that answers your question. Happy to, yes?
What if one doesn't seem to understand if they are a creator, a peacemaker, or a visionary?
Does this someone understand the industry or the job that they want to take? Right? Then go into the job and do everything. Do everything. You'll figure out. You'll get the answer. The only problem of that question is you cannot say that I don't know myself. Right? That's the biggest challenge. See, today, nowadays, a lot of people are talking about mental health. But the reason you are getting to that breakdown stage is you don't know your own limits. You don't know when to disconnect. You don't know when to just have a weekend by yourself. You know, even if you're going on a holiday, you're going with people who are not the most positive. So it doesn't help you. वो holiday नहीं होता फिर आप आने के बाद बोलते हो I now need a holiday. Those sort of things happen. The solution to your question is get into a job, do things. You realize you're not enjoying it. You made an error. Get out of it. Get to something new. Start afresh. It's okay. But when you are in a job where you're enjoying, understand which part of it you're enjoying. Most of the people look at the result and they think वो result की वजह से मुझे मजा आया. Most of the people. But अक्सर वो process होता है जो आपको मजा आए. Right? Like today also we are delivering a lot of projects. But we might be doing the best of work. But is it giving me my happiness quotient? So a happiness quotient has become Wood Factor's mantra. So we have a motto in Wood Factor, okay, which we discovered. We started in late 2020. It's called Ubuntu. Okay, has anybody heard of this term Ubuntu? Yeah. Oh. Mandela started it for the African continent. Ubuntu basically means I am cause you are. In one line, it basically means I am cause you are, which basically means it's not a selfish life. If we combine together and I can help you grow, I will automatically grow. If I can bring happiness to you, I automatically will be happy. How many times you keep saying, social service karo, social service karo. What khushi milti? The reason is you see someone smile, you smile. Right? You travel overseas. India mein ye relevant nahi hai. But you travel overseas, you get out of the metro and you're crossing, 20 people will tell you, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy people, they go to work, they're happy. Try this in India. Get down on the railway station, say good morning, and bloody stare down and say, what the fuck, what's so good about it? It's a problem. Me as a guy, I can cross every girl on the street and smile. Piche mud ke bolegi chep tha. That's our problem, right? But the entire facet is what gives you happiness needs to be figured out. And you will figure that out. If you don't have an answer to that, there's no problem. But then, swimming pool mein डूब जाओ, तैरना सीख जाओ, right? ये उसका answer simple वही है. Hanji, you've been rather quiet. Any other questions? None? Chalo, what's the one thing that you'll take back from today? Quickly. And don't tell me.
Wolfpack.
Wolfpack. Okay.
So I had this one thing regarding Wolfpack. You told that for sure we can have a group of people who we can rely to and trust to. But if you don't have people, we can for sure go and approach people and meet people. But the main thing after approaching people is how can you trust them? How can you really rely on them?
The time consuming job hai wo.
For sure, it's time consuming. Like we can't get into that for the very first.
Very
time.
first.
But it's not that easy also because if you're having that wolf pack, for sure you have a group of people whom you're having a daily talk with, whom you can know that how can you deliver the plan, how can you have a conversation with them. Ki you're getting a positive feedback, so maybe negative, so we can make out of
Correct.
But how can you just build that trust or that certainty that they will be there?
We come from a social circle जहाँ पे लड़की लड़के को एक बार देख के शादी कर लेती है. ये हमारी history है, right? All it will take you is 3 to 4 meetings to figure that out, right? Because if your conversations are matured, you'll kind of figure out what you're getting back in return, right? And that's good enough for you to start because you're just using somebody as a sounding board. They are not your margdarshak. They're only a wolf pack. They're only a sounding board who can have that constructive conversation with you. So you don't need to deep dive into the relationship. What you need to do is at surface level, figure out that this is a topic that is relevant कि मैं इस बंदे से बात कर सकता हूँ तो करो. You will get something back in return, right? And if that person's also sharing, if it's a one-way street, right, then it's not going to last too long, right? But if it's a two-way street, then there is a good longevity to it and a possible, like I said, it has to keep getting refreshed as well, right? Like my wife was a part of my wolf pack when I started the company, but she's no more a part of my wolf pack because now I don't think her advice does anything to me, and rather she's biased. Amit jo bhi karega अच्छा ही करेगा. That's not true, right? I do my own set of mistakes. Like barring Woot Factor, I tried to start 3 other companies. I tried to start a digital agency and I searched for a month for the name and I came up with a bloody logo and swanky things I did. I failed. I don't understand digital. I don't. Right? I can't understand why somebody for a 2 lakh rupee retainer will spend so much money, have a team of 70, 100 people. Dude, I don't have the patience. Right? And I'm a person who likes this touch and feel. You put me on, had the college told me, oh, we are doing a webinar and will you attend? I would say, thank you very much. Aana hai to main aunga. I like the human touch, right? Because I can then judge. I take so many interviews of candidates today and there's something else on a TV. And when they sit in front of me, मुझे तो लगा था यार ये बड़ा लंबा है. आपकी पूरी रीडिंग पूरी अलग चली जाती है क्योंकि आपको एक पर्सनैलिटी हायर करनी है. And the one thing that I do is कोई मेरे को CV ला के देता है. इंटरव्यू पे आया उसने मुझे CV पकड़ाई तो मैं CV पहले यूं रखता हूँ. तो आप बात करो. राइट एंड मुझे आदमी हायर करना है, मुझे इंसान हायर करना है, मुझे रेज्यूमे हायर नहीं करना. इंसान ने क्या किया वो बताओ. तो आप भी जब वुल्फ पैक का कोई बंदा ढूंढ रहे हो, you don't have to look at their front back. What you have to see is what their today is and is the conversation today interesting for you. If that is it, there you go. As easy as that. Right? What do you take back from today? Introspection.
The 4 personalities and how you should start from the bottom and make your way to the top.
Okay. Honey kha bahut gala baitha hua hai na.
Wolfpack and introspection.
Okay.
Introspection, and I like that line that you said, never give up when. Like कभी सुना नहीं था वो एकदम हेड के जब आपने बोला वो एक line.
Okay.
Understanding myself.
Okay.
So many things, but just to focus on something, that Wolfpack.
Wolfpack piece.
Wolfpack and the personalities and give up wala.
Okay.
Yeah, Wolfpack is for sure I'm gonna take forward with me. And I got an idea about corporate events. I didn't have any. I had an idea about college fairs, concerts, personal events like weddings and birthdays, but corporate events, that's a new one.
Just one tip for any of you. Events is not rocket science. It is humans coming out to have fun and enjoy. So it's a very happy industry. It's a very, very happy industry. Digital to me is, sorry to say, but a very lonely industry because you're sitting somewhere creating and then banking on saying, how many likes did I get? And that's your happiness factor, right? I love feedback. I love talking to people. So figure out what You are.
sit behind a desk and work.
हाँ जी, तब वो किसका क्या आता है, हर हर एक की trait अलग है. Figure that piece out. But if you're wanting to get into events, it's something which will never go out of fashion. Like I keep listening कि अरे virtual events आ गए तो events होंगे नहीं अभी. Possible नहीं है. आदमी को अभी भी drink अकेले पीना अच्छा नहीं लगता. वो अभी भी किसी को बोलते चल रहा है आज शाम को बैठते हैं. Right? जब तक ये रहेगा, जब तक आदमी खा रहा है, पी रहा है, travel कर रहा है, event बंद नहीं हो सकता. Just that where do you fit into the entire thing?
Building an overall personality and getting all the approaches, how a thing works.
Okay. Anyone, anything interesting that you're taking back besides what this group of people has said?
One question.
हाँ जी, बोलो.
If your partner betrayed you, what if कि आप वापस partnership कर सकते हो? You talked about it.
कितने divorce लोग वापस शादी करते हैं? करते हैं ना? तो so then I'll give you my insight of why I look for a partner. Okay. Number one, I'm someone who spends a lot of time not alone. I'm not a loner. I cannot sit at a restaurant and eat a meal alone. To save my life, I can't. If I'm traveling somewhere, मैं hotel room में ही मंगा के खाऊंगा. मैं अकेले hotel में बैठ के बताओ. जब मैं वो नहीं कर सकता, तो मैं business अकेले कैसे चला सकता? तो आप मेरा इंट्रोस्पेक्शन देख रहे हो कहाँ से लीड हुआ था. अब मुझे पता था मुझे पार्टनर, मैं तुझे साइंस बता रहा हूँ पार्टनर चुनने का. ये मेरा साइंस था, तेरा साइंस अलग हो सकता. My second part of my introspection was I am a very short-tempered guy. I'm sure you can't make that out, right? But I'm a very short-tempered guy. Okay, it's literally my way or the highway kind of a thing. Okay, because I'm very passionate about what I do. I bring a lot of energy to the table, but at the same time, I can be pretty unreasonable at times. So I need a very good sounding board who can put me in my place, right? Which, unfortunately, guy to guy की camaraderie में नहीं बैठता. नहीं बैठता. So I needed the opposite sex, and I needed somebody who had a level head and not a temper like I did. And because I had a temper, and all my friends knew it, none of my friends could partner with me. None of even the female friends who know me, because they will come with that baggage that Amit to aisa hi hai. You know, this is your problem, Amit. This is why I keep telling you. That statement would start with that, and that's not a solution-driven statement, right? These were the factors that made me look outside my immediate demographic, just on the fence of people whom I knew, right? Personalities that I liked, and I figured out there were two names that came out. First name was Smita, and the second name was a girl called Neha. I spoke to my wife about it. I said, this is what I'm planning to do. And I was 11 years into work life, and I started my business just because I used to come home at 5 p.m. And all me and my wife did was spend my money and her money. Okay, we both were just loitering around, and I was wasting my life. So I said, kuch karke dekhte hain. And that's where, you know, the business idea came of doing events for corporates and, you know, engaging with these guys. And this basically led to my introspection of a partner. And luckily, when I approached Smita, I then realized that she had done events as a teenager. She used to go as a hostess at events and all. So exposure tha thoda. And then she took about a week, 10 days. She spoke to her husband. Her husband and my wife were very good friends in college. But they weren't my family. They weren't my friends I was hanging around with, socializing. And that kind of got the blend. So Smita and I started working, and then we became friends, and today we are inseparable. So if she was in this room, you would kind of think that she's my better half. You know, it comes across that way, and we are very happy to kind of counter that question. But literally, it's become that way. So I chose a partner with a lot of things that went in, and then it's a choice I'm going to stand by, right? And we've never divided roles. On paper, it never says, oh, finance is you, operations is me. Sales is me, client servicing. Nothing of that sort. We kept the lines blurred. We will do everything that comes. आज भी हम इवेंट पे जाते हैं तो स्मिता और मैं बकायदा टेबल उठाते हैं और टेबल उधर लगाते हैं. हम रुकते नहीं, कह रहे मेरा एम्प्लॉय आएगा, वो कम प्लीज डू दिस. Why should I do that to him? If I'm standing there and I'm still capable, I will do that. On the field of Josh that I was telling you, I stand at 6 a.m. in the morning and I come back at 7 p.m. in the evening, hosting all those people. And every city I go to, at least 50 people will hug me. Arey, Amit, yaar, tu to badla hi nahi, tu same. This after a 3-year pandemic as well. Those were relations and those were partnerships. So the question, I know your question was a little different. I got to saying, how do you choose a partner? But if you made these choices, I don't think you will choose the wrong partner. But if you've gone into saying, over a daru saying, yaar, ye na karenge to kya maza aayega. Chal chalu karte hain. Bhai mere, we'll talk after a few years. Hanji. Anything else? Anybody else?
I was just saying I learned specifically that it's okay to give up. Because once you give what is not worth giving more time, you start anew. You start
Absolutely.
different.
Absolutely. This is true in both life and business, by the way.
That's something.
You're not in a happy marriage. Why are you bothering yourself? Right? It's not the end of the world. You don't have a child, not the end of the world. There are various solutions. There are solutions for everybody, everything. My last line of Gyan, very heavy Gyan session, but my last line of Gyan to all of you will be, when I said no, build your story. Okay, well, anyways. When I said the last line of build your own story, more than building, it's how you tell your own story as well.
Last slide.
Yeah. Last
Second last
one.
slide. Second last slide.
Second last slide. Yeah. When I said this, right? So when I went to BHX and we were 30 people in the room, the first exercise was 5 minutes to introduce yourself. 5 minutes. Right? And when you go up there and you're cornered with 5 minutes to detail 37, 38 years of your life, what do you tell people? Is what is your choice? Is what is your choice? So I had some people coming up there talking about their success and only their success. I had somebody coming up there and talking about the problems that they have and only their problems. I had somebody coming up there and actually saying, you know what, I'm a go-getter. I love life. Hoo-hoo. But once in my life, my girl ran away from the wedding. She broke the engagement. And I was so depressed that I locked myself in a room away from my family for 3 months. And I put papers because I hated sunlight. And I wanted to get up and bash the guy. You got 5 minutes to make a first impression. And your story depends on your failure, on what you did not achieve, not because of your fault, how pathetically you dealt with it because you left all the other human beings in your life out of your life for that one relationship, right? And how weak you are that you couldn't deal with it. But you know what? I am a go-getter. Hello? So he's not my friend. Of course, I knew he wasn't going to be a part of my wolf pack. So in those 7 days, he was the guy I spent least time with, right? But candidly, between you and me, he was the guy who had 3 flings in those 7 days. Fantastic for him. But people need to see through people. You defined your story, right? Whether you're talking about, I'm a lazy soul, I love sleeping, yeah. Or whether you say, you know what, I kind of wake up late, but dude, when I get up, no, my time, 3 to 5, my brain is ticking. I want to do something innovative. You're talking about what makes your story. Today, I've spoken in front of you for an hour and a half. I spoke about a few failures. I spoke about a few successes. I spoke about people. I spoke about partners. I spoke about a lot of things. But I did not speak about my low points in life. That's my story. That's what gave me strength to be doing what I can impart as knowledge. I will, of course, if we all ever, stay in touch and you can come back to me, I'll tell you things that it didn't go right. Right? I'm going to table one of them for no rhyme or reasons. You should not judge me or like me or dislike me because of that. But I'm somebody who was brought up by a single parent. I lost my dad at the age of 10 in front of me. Okay. But if that ends up designing my life and my story, I will not be able to move on. I won't be able to move on. Right? I'm a dog father. I've got a 9-year-old dog. In the back of my mind, I know another 2-3 years. That's about it. Because that's life. But that's life. You cannot let things define you outside your existence. And that's what, if you understand and you get a grip of, I've never got rejected in a single interview and I'm bloody proud of it. And I'm a commerce graduate. and I've got given interviews in front of fucking MBAs and whatnot. So Patni has given me an offer. Patni Computer Systems used to be big in those days. Cognizant is big. I was offered by them to move to Chennai. I was offered by a company to move to Singapore. Those were things I did not take for some of my demographic reasons. But the pride factor is when I walk in there, I know my story, and if that guy likes my story and I'm fitting to him, we'll make the merger happen. It's as simple as that. Right? So design your own story, guys. Thank you. Not bad. Hold on.
So, I want to ask a question. Like, I'm something like I love people a lot. I love talking to them, but I'm something like कि ये भी मैं ही करूँगा. If I'm working in a team, so मैं काम भी यही करूँगा, सब कुछ मैं करूँगा और पैसे भी मेरे को ही चाहिए. So, because I had a bad experience in a team.
You have a problem trusting people.
Yeah, trust problem. So, and I know कि ये सही भी नहीं है. ये इसको ठीक करना है तो how to fix it?
You have a major problem of delegation as you go along. And a problem of delegation means that managerial roles will come less to you. You will become, if you keep doing what you're doing, right, people will use you, but growth will not come to you. So the only way you will change something like that is by letting out not the entire task, but a part of the task. Okay? So if there is a bigger challenge like writing, there's an email to be written to somebody, right? If you let out just the part where you've written it and somebody else just needs to send it at a certain time, right? You just let out one part of the task. And when that happens, you actually appreciate that person. You appreciate that person. देख हम सब attention के भूखे होते हैं. मैंने बोला ना सब अपनी लाइफ के हीरो हैं. जब उसको अप्रिशिएट करोगे ना वो एक चीज की जगह दो चीज करेगा. अगली बार उसके ऊपर रेड रिसीट भी मारेगा तो तुझे पता चलेगा सामने ने पढ़ लिया. Small thing, right? Let's say you are at an event and there is a big stage setup that needs to be done, right? Don't outsource the entire setup for the entire night to somebody, right? What you will do is you will create checkpoints. You will say, let me know when the truck arrives. Okay. Let me know when the stuff enters. And once the stage ka 4 corners are laid, no, I'll come then. Now the person has 3 instructions from you. He's following that. And once those little tick marks happen, it's fantastic. Yaar, kya time pe gaya tune? बहुत अच्छे. अब वो next time बोलेगा सर आप सो ना, मैं stage लगने के बाद आपको बुलाऊंगा. He will pick up more responsibilities. You will build a team that actually likes the way you deal with them. And you are giving unimportant tasks away first till you build trust in that person. And then you will start delegating better, right? But zero delegation at any point of time is a very, very big faux pas. Very big faux pas. Because you will not be able to grow. You will keep doing what you are and the other person will keep making merry on it. It's as simple as that. You know, it is that guy. I work very hard. I work very hard. Yeah. Good. We call it an afternoon. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Dr. Desham would like to deliver the voting.
I was one student as well, still a student of life.
Okay, so with today's insightful seminar concluding, I would like to pay my gratitude to the esteemed guest lecturer, Mr. Amit Rilan, for giving us his precious time for this event and spreading knowledge of the event management industry to all the young audience seated in this hall. An event like this would not have been possible without the support of our college principal, Professor Dr. Pooja Ramchandani ma'am, who has always been a strong pillar of support, not just us, but all the student bodies in the HR College of Commerce and Economics. It is with its support that our college has managed to have over 40 student bodies running within its comfortable walls and is undoubtedly one of the most student-friendly institutions in the city. I would also like to thank our Vice Principal, Dr. Naveen Punjabi, and our faculty in charge, Ms. Charvi Gara and Ms. Rifa Patel, for their help and guidance during the planning, organizing, and execution of the seminar. Further, I would like to thank our Think India HRC and Bammc committee team for being our backbone during this event and helping it to be a success. I would further request Mr. Amit Rilan to accept this token of appreciation from Professor Charvi Gada ma'am, a senior faculty from our college.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for your time.
So can I have a picture?
Of course. Of course.
Naman. 1 second.
That's the committee, is it?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a good life. And if anybody wants to keep in touch, 2 ways to do that. Instagram's the best. Amit Voot is my handle personally. Vootfactor.events is my company handle. Keep in touch. If there are future opportunities any of you is looking for, we'll be very happy to talk.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Take care.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
That's okay. That's fine.
Nice session.
हो गया ना रुकना
I like the guy. You should call him again. है ना? अच्छा लाइव गाना आ गया.
अरे मस्ती कर रहा है यार फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा
कौन है? मैम भी है और जगदीश मैम भी है.